beautiful soul. Matt here, and this is day 14 of 30 days of intuitive eating. The journey of listening to and tuning into the body's natural wisdom so that we can get along with a lot more ease, because the body knows. We just got to tune in and listen. And it's an ongoing process. Oh, yes, it is. And so each day we are focusing on a specific intention to help us tune into the body a little bit more so we can develop the intuition to approach food with a bit more freedom and less guilt and more enjoyment. So today's intention is I am whole. I am whole. And today we are going to see ourselves as whole and evolving by letting go of labels. And this wonderful journey was created by the wonderful Megan McElroan. She is a gem, as you probably have discovered if you've been journeying through this journey with us. And so let's just dive right in with Meg as she explores this intention of wholeness when it comes to letting go of labels and being the beautiful selves that we are.
Hello and welcome back to Intuitive Eating Encouraged. Today our intention is to see ourselves as whole and evolving. We want to let go of labels. So labels are super helpful, right? They tell us things like, don't drink bleach, it's poisonous. And they tell us what's in our food, and they tell us so many things when they're put on materialistic things. But when we put labels on people, it's actually detrimental. And the reason is that we tie our self-worth to these labels, right? So for years, I would label myself an emotional binge eater. I am an emotional binge eater, which would then create a reality where I felt like this is who I am and there's nothing I can do about it. And so each time I desired to eat emotionally or binge eat, it felt like I had no option, no control, because this is who I am, right? And that's because I adopted that label and I tied my self-worth to it. And now, instead of saying I am an emotional binge eater, I might say something like I have eaten emotionally and binged in my life, right? Or I might say like I have emotionally ate, right? And many times. But I'm not saying I am an emotional eater. And so simply changing that internal language a little bit and taking away the label and just taking it as a fact, I ate emotionally versus I am an emotional eater, can feel so refreshing and create a different reality, one that you can enjoy. Because what happens with labels is that when we tie our self-worth to it, we give up our power. We start to believe that we have no other option and this is just who we are. For instance, being a perfectionist or a procrastinator or thinking that you have to abstain. I'm an abstainer, right? I've heard these so many times from my clients and myself, right? I used to say, oh, well, I'm a procrastinator, so that's just how I am. Is it? Or is that just my excuse that I say every time I procrastinate? And do I have full control to stop procrastinating if I want to, but I just keep living a reality where I just keep using that excuse, which makes it okay that I'm procrastinating so much? And it's not to say that you're bad if you procrastinate. It's more like realizing that you still have total control whether or not you procrastinate, and it has nothing to do with like who you are, right? You're not a procrastinator. You weren't born, baby coming out of your mom's womb, and they're like, well, label this one procrastinator, label this one perfectionist, label this one binge eater. That's not how it happened, right? We develop habits over time, and those habits are what we're experiencing. So you might have a habit of procrastinating. You might have a habit of trying to be perfect in every area of your life. You might have a habit where you eat emotionally and you believe that means you have to abstain from certain foods. Like I can't eat sugar because I can never do it without overeating it. And so these labels we're putting on ourselves, they really do matter. It's easy to take a label and use it as an excuse, like I did for many years as a binge eater or emotional eater or procrastinator. And it's really good to just start to slow down and notice the labels you have put on yourself or adopted over time. And ask yourself, are they serving you? Is this who you really are? Were you born this way? Or is this just something that you have created a habit and now you just do it often? So it feels like such a part of you that you can't really remember what you were like before the habit, which just goes to show that before the habit, you were doing something else, right? You just can't remember. And that's okay. And it doesn't mean that you have to keep living in the reality of that label you put on yourself, right? The fear of the unknown future, right? Like, okay, well, if I'm not a perfectionist anymore, what will happen with my life? Will I still be able to go to work daily? Will I hit my deadlines? Can I, can I run my household? A lot of fear can come up when you think about letting go of a label like perfectionist. And that fear is because you can't picture life without doing things the way you currently do them, because you can't remember life before that. And it's really hard to imagine it because it's just all you've known for so long. And that's okay, but it doesn't make it impossible to make changes, and it doesn't make you somebody who is a perfectionist. It just makes you somebody who habitually practices being a perfectionist, which there is a difference. The thing is that you are enough right now. You're enough. And I say this because with weight loss and wanting to lose weight and usually that's tied to our self-worth, right? Because we want to look a certain way and be accepted in society or find a partner or whatever it is, we often tie our self-worth to our weight. And so what I want to say is that no matter the label you're putting on yourself, no matter your size right this second, you are enough, just as you are. You were born enough and you will die enough. And anything in between when you don't feel like you're enough is all your own thinking. It's those limitations we're creating, because abundance is there and we create those limitations, right? Not only around food, but around our own self-image, right? I can't do that. I'm a procrastinator. I can never be on time. Is that true? Are you never on time? Have you never been on time in your entire life? Or is that just something that seems to be like the most constant, is that you're rarely on time? Doesn't mean that you're never on time. It just happens a lot, right? And there's big differences there. And so we don't want to adopt a label or something that happens often to be something that is now absolute and happening all the time, right? I worked with a client for years who thought, I can never handle Fridays. I always binge on Fridays. So every Friday, not only did she dread Friday, so Thursday night, she's like so afraid of Fridays. Every Friday she binged, not because she binged. It had nothing to do with the food, right? It had to do with her thinking and like, well, Fridays are hard and I always binge, so I probably will again. So I might as well start right now, right? Well, if I'm going to do it, I might as well just do it. The thinking, the limitations we're creating, it's the problem. And so these labels we put on ourselves, they make it so that we don't feel like we're enough. And we have to do more and more and more to be accepted and be enough, to be loved. And the truth is that you are enough right now. You deserve all the love in the world. And the amount of love that you deserve, which is all of the love, abundant love for the rest of your life, has nothing to do with what you look like, the size that you are in this moment, the size you might be a year from now. It has nothing to do with your skin color. It has nothing to do with anything, any of those things, because you were born enough and you will die enough, right? None of that matters to whether or not you are enough. And the labels we put on ourselves can make it feel like it does matter. Right? I'm a fat ass. That's a label you can put on yourself. And then every time you look in the mirror, that's the thought you have. And that doesn't feel good, right? And then you might get depressed about that thought, right? And it doesn't make it a fact. You can be overweight, right? That doesn't make you like whatever that opinion is of what a fat ass is, right? Because it's not like just being overweight. There's an opinion there, right? Like, oh, I don't do enough, or I eat really unhealthy, or like whatever it is, right? There's always these opinions, and we're putting labels on ourselves. And so we want to get clear, okay, that's an opinion, not a fact. And that's so helpful to help us kind of let go of tying ourselves to these labels and the opinions that we have, and popping those other 3 tires, right, like we just talked about, and just realizing that you are enough right now as you are. You don't have to do anything at all to be worthy of love. You don't have to lose weight. You don't have to change who you are. You are enough right now. And the more you practice believing that, right, believing that you are enough for love and showing yourself love first, right, being kind and loving to yourself, the more you'll experience love in life, the more you'll experience happiness, and the more you'll have like a more grateful attitude towards life, which can really help with things like emotional eating or binge eating. So that is today's lesson on labels. And it's tied into intuitive eating because with intuitive eating, we're really looking at hunger and fullness. But when we add labels in, it's very hard to trust hunger and fullness because, I should abstain, or I'm a perfectionist. And so like, I can't trust my hunger and fullness. I have to trust calories, right? So just be aware of the labels you put on yourself and how that might be getting in the way of you trusting your body and listening to hunger and fullness. I will see you in the next lesson. Have a great day.
Yes, Meg, that was beautiful. It's so nice just to hear someone remind me that I'm enough. Because it's like, yeah, I get it, I understand, like, but then like to hear someone else remind me and then just help me kind of filter through all of these self-limiting labels that I've put on myself and how detrimental it really can be and how limiting and how heavy they get too, because we just carry around all these labels of who we are and who are we really beneath all of those labels. Yes, that's what's up. All right, diving into our healthy habit for today, which is to drink more water. And this has been our healthy habit for the week. And today we're going to aim for 48 ounces of water. Ah, yes, because water is life. And when it comes to intuitive eating, introducing more water can certainly help in so many ways, I'm learning. Yeah, it's good stuff. So that's what we're doing. We're leading up to our ideal goal of 65 ounces of water per day. And we're just adding a little bit more each day as we get in the habit of drinking enough water every day. Our wise words today come from Oscar Wilde, who said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken." Grooving on into our journal prompt for the day. If you've got your journal handy, go ahead and whip it on out. You can also just use the comments to share your journaling thoughts as well. So our question is, what does it mean to you to be enough just as you are? What does it mean to you to be enough just as you are? Go ahead and hit pause and give yourself a moment to journal on this. Talk about a journal sesh. So for me, to be enough just as I am means to remember who I really am, beyond the labels and expectations of who I and others perceive myself to be. And it means to accept others exactly as they are and hold them in that highest light of their true divine self. So I wrote this poem to remember this thing that I would remember when I would come close to near-death experiences. And so I wrote this to remember how beautiful I am, how beautiful you are, and how whole and enough you are exactly as you are. I've died and come back 3 times that I can remember. Each time that my soul teeters on the edge of my body, about to throw a peace sign to Homo sapiens, I catch a glimpse and remember the gift. This gift that always exists beyond all notions of what it means to be human. The gift is this: I am what I am, perfectly imperfect, and that is enough. You are what you are, completely accepted. You are enough. This is I am, you are, the gift. Almost dying isn't very easy. So thank you all of you, for reminding me over and over again through your laughter, tears, and yeehaws, the pure magic it is to be a human in this world. And thank you, world, for reminding me through your sunsets, crashing waves, and rainbows, how exquisite it is to be a spiritual being inhabiting this biological shell for only a moment. Thank you, near-death encounters, for reminding me not to fear the rebirth of death and not to wait for death to remember. Thank you for reminding me through this wondrous tapestry of beauty that I am fully accepted. You are fully accepted by the master of all weavers, loving awareness. Camera shut off a little bit. I'll just back it up. Thank you for reminding me that I am fully accepted. You are fully accepted by the master of all weavers, loving awareness, remembering itself. So please keep weaving you over and under again. It helps me remember this is the greatest gift. Thank you. Today's micro challenge is to take a deep breath whenever you want to label or judge yourself today. Easier said than done. It takes noticing first, and it's where mindfulness helps, creating a meditation practice to be able to observe our actions in the moment so that we can do things like take a moment to take a breath and prevent ourselves from limiting ourselves through labels, for judging ourselves. It's a practice. Right on. Well, that wraps up today's intentional session on being whole. What a powerful sesh. Thank you, Meg, for crafting this session and this whole journey of intuitive eating for us. We would love for you to join us on our activity feed for this course. It's a private place where we can just share and reflect and see what other people are going through. It's a beautiful thing. Link is in the description if you'd like to join us over there. Until then, I feel like just lighter, and I hope you do too, from just taking this time to get a little curious about ourselves, to lift the labels off, and to move through onward in this moment to the next with a lot less baggage. So I hope you continue to do that with me today as we notice what labels have been assigned to our being and liberate ourselves from them. Wonderful. Looking forward to tomorrow, day 15, where our intention is I am objective, where we will be looking at how much our perception on things really does determine our outlook and experience of life. Woo! Good stuff. Until then, you are whole, you are enough, you are loved exactly as you are. Have a great day. Bye-bye.